to this event. This is an event, just quickly talking about giving you the title, so in case some of you have come to maybe listen to something else or some other motivational event. So this is Gender Inclusive Dairy in Tanzania is the event, and this is partly to discuss and to talk about, obviously, gender inclusive dairy in Tanzania, but also to discuss a little bit more about some of the different approaches that have worked and some that have not been as successful, and what have we learned in the various programming that Land O'Lakes has been implementing with various different funding sources. We'd like to start off by thanking the funders, which is AgResults, which is a pay-for-results program, which is really interesting. Talk to Nima about that if you're wanting to learn more about a different approach. Obviously, the BUILD program, which is funded by CEDA, which is looking at micro-enterprises. And then thirdly, thank you. And then thirdly is the program that we work in conjunction with Tanzanian Dairy Board and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is working under the Dairy Nourishes Africa platform, focusing on larger producers in the dairy industry. So I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of an overview of the Tanzanian dairy industry, particularly the smallholder dairy industry. As you well know, 90% of the milk comes from the smallholders. And the smallholder dairy farmers have always been in an interesting case study when it comes to labor, as we were hearing earlier on in the US aid session this morning about labor and division of labor. Women at household level are really responsible for the day-to-day activities of the feeding of the animals, the looking after the animals, and also ensuring that the animals are milked and maintained. Men, for the most part, they look at often taking the milk sales, and as we often say, they're called multifunctional. So they're doing many other things of attending meetings, going off and having a look at various other different bits and pieces. Today, we're going to have a look at the strategic investments and how can women as decision makers improve the value chain and improve the resiliency and also the social inclusion in that. You'll hear from the programs that we've spoken about, the AgResults program, the CEDA funded BUILD program, and a little bit of some of that influence that we've also been talking about through the TI3 program, TI3P program, which is in conjunction with our partners from Tanzanian Agricultural Development Bank. So I'd like to invite, at this stage, Nima and Consolata onto the stage to be able to give a little bit of some presentation and also lightness, please. So come up and sit up here and then pass it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. As Dai has set the stage for this for this session, my name is Neema Mrema. I'm the team leader for the AgResults Dairy Productivity Challenge project here in Tanzania, and I'm very excited to be here. So this is the Land O'Lakes team. I just wanted to introduce our team as well, who are with us to support us and also to answer some of the questions which we may need support from them. So I have the AgResult team with us. Can you just raise your hands? So the AgResult team, they are here with us, and we do have our CEO, John Elleback, please, with us, and our gender specialist, Margaret. And also we do have our colleagues, Balakana from TA3P, and other partners who we are working with. So for that, I'm grateful for this opportunity, and I just want to go straight to the presentation. I have just a few slides to share what AgResults have done on this space. Okay, AgResults, we want also to talk a little bit on the gender inclusive, but as you know, AgResult, the setup of AgResult is not like a gender kind of project, but we've managed to have some few tweaks to be able to make sure that we do incorporate both women and youth and the whole family across the value chain. So being it incentive model where it's being implemented by the private sector, so gender was not really the focal area where we were concentrating, but we are quite happy that whatever we did, some of the approaches we did had really played a critical role on ensure that women do participate and they see the value of participating on the dairy value chain. So that is me. So in a nutshell, as I said, the AgResult, it has been designed to address some of the key challenges within the sector, and some of them is the low yield breeds, but poor management practices, but also seasonal fluctuations in feeds and forages. And these are the critical, really, when you're looking at improving the dairy sector. And this project is incentive model with a $4.9 million put forward to incentivize private sector so that they can address the issue of input supplies, but also advisory services to the smallholder farmers. And this project is implemented in 4 regions: the coastal area, that is Tanga, Morogoro, Dar es Salaam, and Pwani, and with the key of objectives ensuring that we're increasing dairy productivity, but also from the increased dairy production, that increasing amount, we can be able to increase smallholder income, but also looking at the different nodes along the dairy value chains. How can it be strengthened and formalized so that each participating stakeholder along that value chain can participate fully in the formal manner? And we anticipated through this project to be able to add a little bit within the 4 years of the project. We have started 2019, and right now we're in the final year of the project, 2024, starting July this year. And we have worked for all those years, but the outcomes which we're really looking at is if we can be able to improve milk production by increment of 23 million liters, but also helping farmers to have incremental revenue of about $9.4 million. But also the input service providers who are providing the services to the smallholder farmers, they see value in it and increased income or revenue by 4.4 million, but also having a market penetration both on input service delivery, but also the output on looking at the product dairy by 22%. And that's how the competition structure, which we look at as we have, the input businesses who we recruit them and be able to register, but also these are the one who will deliver input to the smallholder farmers and advisory service. So at the end of the day, we really want to see improved animal productivity and farmers' livelihood, and also increased market formalization. And these are the kind of inputs which the project has been really promoting, and the parasite control, vaccine, improved nutrition, and artificial insemination. And as I said earlier, and the 4 input bundles are the one which has been seen to address the issue of low yield build, the issue of farmer management, but also the feed and forages. And we have also the quality oversights. We are working closely with the government of Tanzania, specifically the Tanzania Medical Devices Authority, where we are looking at all the inputs that are registered, but also we do work also with other agencies like National Artificial Insemination Center, where we work to ensure that the quality of semen distributed is up to standard. But also, we also ensure that we also get the feedback from the farmers, and that one also help us to ensure the input service provided is addressing the farmers' needs. So in short, as Dai have said, that we are looking at the strategic investment which the project has done, and basically the project has been working to ensure that there is investment being given there, both at the project level, but also within the input businesses who have been engaged. And as you could see, when we started now engaging the private sector, in the first year of engaging the private sector, that was 2020 to 2021, we managed to recruit about 6 private input businesses, of which we managed to award the incentive of $37,000. Out of that, 4.9, which has been dedicated as a price incentive to the private sector. And on the second year, we increased the number to 11, and on the third year, we increased the number to 16. And if you could see in terms of the award which has been provided, we do have like on the second year, $349,000, which has been also issued to these private businesses. And we anticipated like over $1 million this year to award to the private sector who are delivering services. And these incentives, they're being brought back to the business, to the value chain, where they work in different settings to invest, to ensure that the service delivery is meeting all the groups. And part of it is ensuring that they increase in stock, but not only stock, but also they increase the distribution channel to ensure that even the farmer at the remote areas where they cannot travel, they can get these services. And the target of the project, for those, we really encourage for those who are participating, they can be able also to reach the remote area, and that is the criteria for selecting them. And we are happy to see that the incentive provided has managed them to scale up to even the remote area, where some of them confirm that it's more than 10 years they've not seen the extension services. Now they're being able to be reached. So those are some of the feedback we received from the smallholder farmers. So this kind of investment, but also as a project, as this is service provided to the smallholder farmers, we track it. So we have invested a robust ICT system where we capture all the the input which is being provided to the smallholder farmers, as well as the advisory service. So, as I said earlier, the incentive model is purely business, the enterprise. And when you talk to the input business, they'll tell what is in there for me. But we really want to show them that working with everybody along the value chain, there is a value proposition on that. And if you really secluded, work with only men maybe and not including women and youth, it means you're missing a big picture there. And what we did, we're really trying to ensure that we work hand in hand with this private business to realize, apart from incentive, let them use the incentive model to be able to reach everyone. And understanding the needs, and see that the value proposition which these other, the recipient of the services, they do have to their businesses. And with that, this input business, they managed to realize that women do play a critical role along the dairy value chain. And also, by also engaging the women extension workers, because at that time, the extension services was dominated by men, but with the input showing that, okay, even women can do it. So by engaging women extension workers, we see that there is also a positive recipient from the women who are smallholder farmers, specifically those in remote setting. And also they realize that women are key consumers of these many holders household, but also they also have a critical role in influencing the purchasing pattern decision. Because right now, if you could see that from this data we have, from the 3 years, we've managed to reach about 6,000 women. And mind you, this is a purely business, and it's not geared, it's not a gender project, it's pure business project. But we have missed 6,000, and this is 15.5% of the total population of the smallholder farmers which we have reached for the 3 years. But only that, 537 increase of number of women procuring inputs. Initially, it was just men, because men, they have mobility, they can travel 200 kilometers. But the way the project has stimulated the service delivery to go to the remote area and provide the services, so women were able also to procure these input services, but also gaining the advisory services. So some of the key actions which we instituted as we were really implementing this project to ensure that, we have women in this, yes. One of it is the incentive. We use incentive, like when you have the carrot and have a goat running around it. So we use that incentive to stimulate the input businesses to be able to incorporate women. So in terms of their business, they have to make sure that in terms of extension services, they have people, the human resources, the women are there, but also a big part of the smallholder farmers whom they reach, they have women as well. They don't forget about women. But also we have them said, okay, fine, we should have a gender engagement plan. Because without a plan, how are you going, you are the business, but what you know is just selling your input advisory, but how can we make sure that women also be part of this puzzle? So we had an engagement plan which they implemented, and the mandatory advisory services, it's important because women, once they understand, they build the trust and implement. And so far, the incentive helped to lower the risk of investment, but also the advisory service and gender really, help on awareness, women participation there, but also, increase the adoption of this dairy productivity enhancing input by farmers, specifically women. And also, the other thing which I really like about it is emergence of dairy farming enterprise, something which was not there. So right now, there is that transformation we are seeing. In the business, which I'm talking about, is like they changed their business model. The way the business they used to do, it was, over the counter. People have to come to their shops. But this time, because their majority of their clientele, they cannot travel, they do farm visit. So when we started, 70% was over the counter and 30% was just farm visit. But right now, as we speak, it's 90/10. 90% is farm visits and 10% is over the counter. And that way we'll be able to reach more women. But also they're hiring more women as a advisory service agents, because women, they build trust and they're trustworthy. That's what we receive from the input businesses. But also they've also invested time and resources in advisory. And right now, as you see, we have the bigger customer base, because right now we have the input business who have, let's say, 200, 300 clients a year, but right now we have those who have, they are up to 5,000, they're saving up to 5,000 farmers. But also the women now are purchasing more productivity, hence, which was not there. But also they are also actively engaging in private sector business. Initially it was not like that. And we did a gender analysis to ascertain the contribution, how the project has influenced the gender participation. And these are some of the feedback we received from the farmers, but also the competitors who are the input businesses also confirm. And they confirmed to us that increased dairy productivity is improving livelihood of the women. They see that, dairy is a daily income, and it helps them. And not only the milk, but also even the calves become another set of the business. They do sell calves at a very good price. So that one, they have, it's more income. But also, the input business, they say that, reaching more women, because this is they are loyal customers. Once they understand, once they see the results, we have reliable customers. And the fact that they can be able to, receive the advisory service and they understand they cannot hope from, one client to another. That trust was there. So that is a nutshell about the AgriZat. I'll be available for more interactions if you want to hear, because this is just a top of an iceberg for AgriZat. There are more. You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nima, for that very interesting discussion. I'm sure a number of people will talk to you afterwards, and we have some time later on for questions and answers. So over to Conso and to Lightness now to give us a talk about the DNA build, which is very much focusing on micro and small dairy enterprises. Over to you two.
Okay, thank you very much. Speaking here to you is Consolata Baltazar, the M&D manager for DNA Build project in Tanzania. Well, I'll be taking you through some part of this presentation, and then Lightness will finish over the last part. Next. Well, what is the DNA Build project? The acronym stands for DNA Dairy Nourishes Africa, Building Inclusive Livelihood Through Dairy. It's a 2 years project implemented in the northern part of Tanzania, in Arusha and Kilimanjaro regions, building on the success of a pilot project that was implemented previously. DNA Build project has 4 pillars for it to achieve the overall goals of improving livelihood. We'll be working on activities around growing consumer demand, also driving enterprise to full potential, increasing farmer production without forgetting the part of engaging the government that is strengthening the operating environment. Throughout these activities, we anticipate to have about several outcomes, but I mentioned, we listed just a high-level outcomes that through our project approach and the extension model that we use, we anticipate to reach about 12,000 farmers reached through extension services, and also reach about 10,000 farmers through consumer demand campaign and other approaches. And also we expect to reach about 37, we expect to complement on the biodiversity conservation through tree planting. And here we are promoting mostly the multi-purpose trees that serve several purposes at farmers' households, in terms of serve as fodder for the animals, serving the biodiversity, and also provide support for other activities. So throughout the project, we're expecting to plant around 38,000 trees to these farmers that will be reaching through extension services. And also we'll be supporting 37 farmer-allied enterprises to improve their last mile service delivery. So we'll be having several activities that will help us now to arrive at these project outcomes. Well, speaking on the investment in women and youth-led enterprises, that's among the 37 farm-allied enterprises that we'll be supporting. Why the project is venturing in that direction is after understanding the role women and youth play in the dairy value chain, and also this has been informed by gender assessment that was conducted by the project, where we find that women make up 60% of the total labor force in the agricultural sector, specifically dairy. But at the same time, these women, they lack access and control over land and other productive resources. While on the youth side, we are very lucky as a country like that. We have almost over 0.5% of the country is a youth population, but most of them are unemployed, And this is largely due to having limited employment opportunities in rural areas and also lack access to finance and the other productive assets. So the project now is working to address these challenges and the gaps that are around the women and youth through various investment and various activities that will enable women and youth to see benefits for their engagement along the dairy value chain. Well, so what are we doing as a project in now addressing those gender gaps? Among other activities that we are doing to address this or to break the gender gaps, we are promoting adoption of technologies that are friendly to women and youth for them now to be able to have more productive dairy. So among the activities that we are doing, we are promoting the adoption of improved forage practices and conservations. We all are aware that along the dairy value chain, feed composes almost 70% of the costs for raising a dairy cow. And along with the challenges of climate change, now these farmers are facing the challenge of feed availability, especially during the dry season. And we have witnessed there is an increasing long dry spells happening recently. So with that challenge means women farmers are the ones who suffer more because they took much of their time now to look for feed for their animals, and less time will be available for other activities at the household. So as a project, we are addressing that challenge by promoting forages that are climate smart and also training farmers on how to conserve these forages for them now to have feed available all through year round. But not only that, we are also supporting women and youth input business for them now to be able to reach underserved farmers, because as a project, our approach is to work with the underserved farmers, the farmers that are not being reached, because you know several projects have already been in the field, but there are some farmers in remote areas that are yet to be reached. So the DNA Build project is focusing now to reach those underserved farmers. So by supporting this input business, we are sure that they'll be able to go and reach to those underserved farmers by providing various support services from extension and other inputs for the farmers now to produce milk sustainably and also increase the production from their cows. So, yeah, let me hand over to Lightness to take us through the other part of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Neema, Dai, and Consolata. My name is Lightness Justin. I'm dairy specialist for DNA Build project, and I'm going to finalize the last part of our presentation before we go to the next session. In DNA Build, also we have this Dairy Challenge Fund, which is targeted to women and youth, but not only women and youth, but also for those who are working direct in this dairy business. So we have to facilitate access to finance to women and youth so that to help them to run their business and to make it sustainable. Also, as you know that most of these processors are using facilities which is not much improved, so that at the end also the product which are produced, it can be in low quality. So through this Dairy Challenge Fund, it will also help to improve the processing facilities, like using the pasteurizer instead of using firewood in pasteurizing the milk, and also to improve nutrition to the consumer of these products. The people and the consumer of dairy product will get the product which is in good quality, and also help them to improve their nutrition at the household level. Also, formalization of dairy business, because you find most of the farmers are selling in informal market their milk. So through improving the dairy business to these processors and input supplier, it also helps the farmer who are selling milk to formalize their business, to be in groups, to sell in milk collection center with all quality which is required and by all authority which are standing on that. We have been doing technical assistance to Dairy Challenge Fund beneficiaries. This is Farmer Allied Enterprise. What we are doing is capacity building in process, so that we hire some experts who are well equipped and well knowing on how to process the milk, and they attach them with these Farmer Allied Enterprises who are doing this processing business, so that they can build their capacity, so that they can produce some products which are needed in the market, and they can compute. Also, through profiling this Farmer Allied Enterprise, we find that there is a challenge in business development, that they are not keeping much record. They don't know how to, they're running their business very well, so that they are doing business as usual. So through this Dairy Challenge Fund, also will support them to make sure that they are doing their business in a way that they can document and know how they can get profit and what they can improve. And also we, as I said earlier, that we are supporting them with processing facilities, so that to make sure that they are adopting climate smart practices and technology, how they waste their, how they do waste when they are doing processing, and how they make sure that they are protecting environment by using the equipment which are friendly and protecting the environment. Also, to access modern processing equipment, as I said earlier, that we are supporting them to buy some processing material like pasteurizer, like other equipment which will also make sure that they can produce the quality product which is needed at the market. Also, in DNA project, as my colleagues say, that we are doing extension service, and we are using extension officers. In DNA, we have 15 youth extension officers who we are using, and among them we have 33%, and 67 are men. And among them, 10 are private extension officers, while 5 are public extension officers. These extension officers are doing training to the farmers who we are targeted, which are 12,000 farmers within Arusha and Kilimanjaro. So what we are doing, they are doing training. We train them, we give them the training model which they can use to farmer, and then they train farmer in formal training, and then they do in visit at the household according to the need of the specific farmers. So this is what they are doing, and currently we have almost reached 8% of the farmer in Arusha and Kilimanjaro who have already trained, and almost 60% have already visited at the household level for extension advisory services. At the last year, we have a case study of Brenda Bonus Ngailo. Is a paravet, female paravet, and also he's AI artificial insemination technician. He's among the beneficiaries of Dairy Challenge Fund. Is the input supply, so He's working at the Arusha region. So through DNA Dairy Challenge Fund, she procured some motorbike, artificial insemination kit, dairy meal, mineral supplement and vaccine, and some refrigerator and freezer to storage the temperature controlled goods. She also trained the farmer, and currently she used a mode of sending the text to her farmers who she have already trained, and ask them and send them some training issues, some new information concerning the dairy. So this is what DNA Billy Project is doing at Arusha and Kilimanjaro. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentations. I think all very interesting and giving a little bit of some flavor of some of the work that is going on in the gender space and particularly in the dairy space. I have a few questions which I'm going to ask the panelists, and then after that, please think of a few questions that you'd also like to ask and get a little bit more data from the panelists while they're here. The first question I'd like to ask to Consolata is, what role do women play in supporting the dairy value chain in Tanzania?
Well, thank you, Dai, for the question. Women dairy farmers in Tanzania plays a very important role along the dairy value chain. Actually, women are present in all nodes of the value chain, from production to consumption, but high concentration of women are in the production node, where they are basically involved in production activities, which involves the general management of the cattle, which includes, among other things, feeding the cattle, looking for the feed, taking care of the sick animals, looking for artificial insemination, support from the AI technicians, and as well as milking the animals. While women play this very critical role along the dairy value chain, especially in this production node, looking at their involvement in the other nodes of the value chains, their participation is decreasing when you go to the last node, that's consumption. But why is it that way? There are several factors that contribute to that. We know women, they are not alone at the household. They have also a partner for the married women. So they are not the final decision makers. So despite all these roles that they are playing along the dairy value chain, when it comes now to the benefits of their participation, it becomes limited. But at the project level, we really acknowledge and appreciate the role women play. But for them now for us as a project to support the women to access some of the services which at times are limited or challenging for them to access, for example, access to information, which includes extension services, when it comes like for them to participate in trainings, which may take place maybe somewhere far from their families. Due to the other activities, they might not have time for them to participate. So through the extension officers, we are also supporting them to develop generic messages to these farmers where they can also ask questions and get response to the extension officers for them now to do well as they perform various roles along the data value chain. Thank you.
Thank you, Conso. A very thorough and full answer. In your role, looking at data and using data, how have you seen women's additional involvement to increase dairy productivity and their own financial security? How have you seen the impact of that?
Great, thank you. Well, looking at the recent activities and the recent project that we're implementing, there has been significant impact from women farmers participating along the dairy value chain, especially when it comes to productivity. Among other interventions that we're doing, we are promoting the climate smart technologies, especially in the area of feeds, where we realize women are using much more time looking for feed, etc. Now, empowering and training these women on the adoption of these improved technologies for the feeds. These women farmers really showed up as frontliners in adopting these technologies. Well, we know there's limited land and women don't own land for forage production, but at household level, they really have a good plans, and we see farmers adopting technologies for forage production, now assuring the availability of feed for their animals throughout the year. And for some assessment that we conducted, we have seen some significant impact with an increase of milk production of up to 3 liters per cow per day. So that's an additional income and additional milk available for the household that will improve the household nutrition, which was not there. So really there is a good impact coming from the fields and from the farmers for the activities that we are doing that are addressing some of the gender gaps.
Thank you, Conce. So, Lightness, in your role out there at the front line of providing the extension to farmers, how do you see strategic investments in the Tanzanian dairy sector, such as DNA Build Challenge Fund, overcoming some of the existing gender gaps to boost the productivity of smallholder dairy households?
Okay, thank you so much, Dai. DNA project is the one of the projects which are implemented with the focus of gender lens, and it sees some challenge in women and youth. So through this Dairy Challenge Fund, it will help also to increase the access to finance and control to women and youth, so that they can get some finance to make sure that their business are running. Not only that, also through this Dairy Challenge Fund, it can increase the self-efficacy, not only for those who have already applied for this, but other women also can see that women can be able to go apply for Challenge Fund and use it and improve their business. For youths, they can get the capital to run their business. They cannot have the capital at all, but they can start the business, because it is not a big capital which is needed in dairy value chain where the youth can be involved. So they can get the capital. Also, to add on that, when women and youth have some business to do and get something to do, this can trickle down to the family, and through this, there will be improvement of nutrition at the household level. Also, the other consumer of the product can improve their nutrition. So through this Dairy Challenge Fund can boost the productivity, because also other women and other people who are involved in dairy value chain can see that there is a business, there is people who can buy our milk, there is a product, and most of the people can be involved in this dairy value chain.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Over to Nima now. Very interesting, the AgResults project, which is a very different approach. How have you seen that structure has worked, and how has this helped private sector in including gender and improving the inclusivity of the dairy industry here in Tanzania?
Okay, thanks, Dai. You know, the AgriZalt, the way it has been designed as it's purely business, and the incentive model has been designed to stimulate investment in the dairy sector. And for the private sector to put the investment, they have to see to be sure of the returns. And the way it has been designed in such a way that for any service input sales they do to smallholder farmers, the incentive is, you know, between 20, it's double the profit which they are getting. So that is incentive. What does it mean? If they're getting a 20% profit, it means they have got 40% as incentive of that particular service input which they have provided. That 40% encourage the private sector to bring money back to their business and invest more. Now, bringing money back to the business and invest more, it means that what are the opportunities which are out there where we can scale out our business, increase the number of clients, and also push our stock, because this is purely business. And you know, through our project, we managed to show them where the opportunities are. And a part of it is, let's work with women. Women are the ones who understand dairy. Women are the ones who, you know, day-to-day activities of the dairy, they are the ones who are conducting that. Now, with that, you are assured of your client, you are assured of a sustainable market for your products. So it's a long-term kind of relationship which you really have to build and invest. And the incentive model, the way it has been designed to help this private sector realize that and invest on that sustainable relationship. And with that, I must say, we have seen that the private sector, they went and formed a partnership with the public sector so that they have a sustainable and continuous service delivery. So as we speak right now, this private sector, part of the investment, they'll be able to address the issue of artificial insemination, the issue of the breed, by improving the artificial insemination, where many women farmers were not able to get their cows to go and be inseminated by the bull. But through the artificial insemination center, they can be able to get the service where they are, and they improve their breed, which was not possible. And this one was through the engagement of the private sector and the public sector. So that incentive really help on the private sector to have a sustainable, building a sustainable relationship that will be able to have a sustainable market for their products.
Great, thank you, Nima, for that. That was very, very helpful. A follow-up question: could you give an example of how the prizes have incentivized businesses to change their approach to targeting women in particular?
Yeah, thank you. So when we started the project, when we talked about involving women, it's like a day and night. So, and mind you, if you look at the way the distribution of the dairy, we have 97 indigenous and we have 3% improved cows. And that 3% is a small margin, but when it comes to the volume of the milk, mostly is coming from the indigenous, and that's where I see that we cannot leave them. So when you talk to them about engaging women, it's something which, it's not something which was well received. So what we did as a project, the private sector did, they formed, we call it livestock committees, where both men and women were involved. And through there, women, their needs were heard, and their needs were being taken care of. And the issue of advisory service, they received the first-hand advisory service from the extension workers, but not only that, they even get the opportunity for the extension workers to visit their farms and provide the services to them. So that is one of the advice. So they changed, the private sector, they changed through the livestock committee and also through the farm visit. The women will be able also to be heard what they need and what kind of support services they need, and these input businesses, through the investments which they have, they can be able to support them. But not only that, the input business, they changed their distribution model. So they invested on the transporting vans, they invested on the cold storage, for instance, for the AI and vaccination. They even invested on having the mass service delivery. For example, in the vaccination, we have mass vaccination, but also with the AI, we have mass AI, where they deploy the hormone synchronizations and as well as the taking the AI. And that's where also the service goes to the remote area where the farmers are. So I can talk long and long on that, but let me end here.
Thank you very much. Yes, Nima is very good at talking, so anyone who would like to have a conversation, please do. I'd like now to, having hopefully everyone being stimulated and having listened to the presentations, now it's your chance to be able to stand up and ask a few questions. Can I ask from the audience, any questions? There we go, that's very good already. There we go. We'll go here and here, and then I'll come across to you. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentations. Consolata, congratulations. Yeah, I have a couple of questions. One goes to Neema. When you're talking about the ag results, there was so much talk about women this and women that. But when we talk about inclusivity, then we are also including the youth, especially in the ag sector. I'm just wondering how the youth has been involved in that process, and especially that this is a demographic dividend that we need to capture. Yeah, so that was for you. I don't know if I can ask both questions at a go?
No problem. Why don't you start with that one,
all right.
And then we'll ask you, you can go for a second question
okay,
after we get that. Thank you. Please.
Okay, thank you. I didn't say much of the youth. So with the youth, it's kind of tricky here. And most of the youth, they are coming on fodder. So right now, we have introduced the fodder incentive which to address the nutrition. Because right now, we realize with the nutrition area, we cannot proceed if you're not going to address the issue of pasture. So as a project last year, we introduced was it last year or this year? It's this year, January. Okay, it's January. So in January, okay, last year for the project, yes, we introduced the fodder incentive where we be able also to bring in input businesses to produce fodder for the smallholder farmers. And that's where we see a lot of engagement of youth. So right now, we have managed to have how many volumes which has been produced right now. We do have about more than 5,000 metric ton of fodder already being produced, and we've managed to sell about 360 metric tons so far for the 2 months of fodder to the smallholder farmers. So the idea was for the women is they cannot run around to look for pasture, but for the youth is opportunity for the youth to see as a business value on the fodder and provide that particular service to the smallholder farmer. And we could see this. We are the first to do the commercialization in fodder in Tanzania. I have to say that, and I'm happy to see that the interest is growing. The youth is willing to participate, and right now we have a youth in Gairo doing a beautiful job on the pasture. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And your second question, please.
Yeah, my second one is about the DNA Build project. And they spoke about and even highlighted a lady who is doing AI. And I know that earlier in the year, from sometime last year to earlier this year, we did a formative assessment. We've had the liberty of working with Venture 37, HEIFA, and TADB in the Tier 3P project. And the formative assessment we did revealed that AI from the ladies, that service is not so welcome. So I'm just wondering how, they've made it work in this space. Thank you.
Thank you. Conso?
I wanted Winnie to say who she wants to ask to respond to her question.
Well, the great thing is Conso has a lot of experience in this, so I think Conso will be good for this. And we'll let Likeness chip in a little bit at the end as well.
Well, thank you, Winnie. Maybe I'll share a bit of an experience as an organization in supporting AI service delivery in the country. We had a project that we closed last year, which was specifically for AI service delivery. It was a public-private partnership for AI service delivery. It was just AI. So we had a target of reaching about 30% women AI technicians. But through the normal process of bringing on board AI technician to apply and be trained as AI technician, it was not easy to achieve that target. So we came back on our drawing board and developed a different strategy where now we had to reach out and come up with a women-specific training as AI technician. So through that way, we managed to achieve the target of 30% of women trained as AI technician. But that target was just a number. So we had to go further and now be able to monitor the performance of those women AI technicians in the field. It was not easy. Mind you, they are so very new in the business, and even farmers that are used to see men performing that service, not common for women. So despite the fact that we achieved the target for training the women AI technician, for them now to deliver the service, it was a bit of challenge to them. So we use different approaches, like attaching them to experienced men AI technician, but they also face challenges. So the easiest way that we were able to get these women AI technicians performing, and a few of them who are still in the market in doing services, we now went further to look for a different approach, and the one that worked well is attaching these women AI technicians to big farms, and now have like some sort of a contract or whatever for these women AI technicians to provide services to their farm. Through that approach, it really worked well, and now, by farmers seeing that woman going there and now doing service to that big farm with the good results, now farmers surrounding that big farm started now looking for service for those women AI technicians. So that's how we were able to get it working. Maybe Lightness have something to add on. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I cannot distort the message, but also they are working with cooperatives, and the other things which we are doing is to attach them with extension officer during the training so that they can go there, they can give the evidence, they can give the testimony how they are doing things, and the good things when they perform and the AI becomes successful, the farmer trusts them, especially the women. They say it is better. This is the women issue. Women, the cow, so that it is not the women not feeling so shy when the AI technician is a female. So at least now it is going, despite that it is slowly, but it is improving.
Great, thank you very much. That's a wonderful example, I think, of showing a bit of innovation and what's written down on a particular document, and the field team thinking, how are we going to break these barriers? Because I think we've heard and seen time and time again the inverted commas gender norms that we're looking at, and there's also the in big inverted commas the toolkit that we're meant to use. But at times, as teams in the field, you have to decide, what are you going to do, how are you going to innovate, and understanding your local context, understanding all women are different and that there's segmentation. How are you going to be able to target that particular thing in that particular area? So a really nice example. There was a question at the back here. Yes, and then we'll go to the next question across here. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Catherine from Tanzania. I have one question around the process. Once you have the inputs and there's increased production, what happens to the milk? And do we leave it to waste, or do we leave it to other actors in the market? And do you have a product for those that now need to process the milk? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I must say, yes, that's the question we normally get from the farmers. Yeah, you want us to improve our farming practices and we get the milk will increase, then what? And remind you, the input business for them is doing business. They really want to sell their products, and yes, this is the market. But what we have done, we're trying to tell the business, look here, for you to have a sustainable market, this product, you are the input, but this output need to go somewhere. So we've been working closely with the input service providers themselves, but also other stakeholders to ensure that we create a pool of the potential market for the output of this particular product. And I must say, thank you to the Tanzania Dairy Board. The registrar is there. We've been working closely with them on how we can link these upcoming dairy farmers with the available, the already existing market, and also what kind of the infrastructure need to be put in place for them to access the particular market. So we've been also working closely with Tanzania Dairy Board on that, but also the local government themselves we've been working close, but also the private sector. We know we have the private sector processors who we have been linking also with these farmers through the input business so that they can be a smooth uptake. As I said on the third objective, strengthen the value chain, formalize the key supply chain, both in input and output. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Lightness is going to add a little piece.
And also, as Dai was introducing, we have other projects. We have TI3P project, and also we have a DNA project. And AgriResults also working in the area where TI3P is also implemented. So we are linking these farmers to big processors who are processing milk. So milk is not wasted. It is going smoothly to the dairy value chain.
Thank you very much. Yeah. And then when we, from there, can we go across?
Thank you very much. My name is Gilbert Msuta from Tariri. And I just want to hear from the presenters, given their experiences in the dairy sector, especially in working with the youth. Because there's this thing, they keep on saying, like dairy is a low-paying business.
Mm-hmm.
And so the motivation towards it is a little bit smaller or lower. What's your take on the youth, on how have you been motivating them, to gain that strength from them to get into business? Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert. I'll respond, but also my colleague will add on what I'll be presenting. Well, from experience and as a project, we did an assessment, and as you just mentioned, that youth are not much interested in most of the dairy business. But along the dairy value chain, there's some high-paying business that youth are involved. For example, milk transport business, you'll find most of the transporters, those with boda are the youth who are doing that business. And also, there is this component of bull fattening. With dairy and the adoption of AI and everything, of course, most farmers are not doing sexed semen, so it's a 50-50 calving where it's either a male calf or a female calf. So we find youth are also involved in fattening of those male calves, which comes from these dairy farmers. But again, as a project, especially through the DNA project that we are implementing, Lightness presented about the Challenge Fund. Challenge Fund is supporting existing business. So we are working with the youth business or owned business. As I mentioned, we have the transporters And we also have the AI technicians. Majority of them are youth. So we are supporting them to co-invest. They put their share and we put our amount for them to expand their business and be able to reach more farmers. So through these approaches, we are able to strengthen their participation in the business and also attract other youth and feel confident that working in dairy business, you can as equally make returns as others working in different business. Thank you. Let me hand over to
Gilbert, are you satisfied?
Okay, thanks, Gilbert. That's a good question. So I'll talk about this, why youth don't see much interest in the dairy. Dairy takes time. And then, with youth, they just want, a quick man. It's like when you drive, you ride a boda, you get a client, at the end of the trip, you have your money. So they want those which, they can get, you can access money quickly. So along the value chain, where can they get that? So within AgriZat, as I said, the service delivery, the input service delivery, specifically the vaccination, is where we have attracted more youth. When you do the vaccination, it's a quick. You go, you do the vaccine, they pay you, you have your cash back. So we have quite a lot of few, but the diploma holders, the certificate holder, the paravets who are graduates from our universities and our colleges, they are doing that. And the other thing is that we have seen also, for example, in Lushoto, where after the introduction of AgriZalts, and the people seeing that, so this is a business opportunity. We have seen the graduates who were from the Buhuri now going back and venture that as a business. So some of the input business who are there, they start, now, our market is a little bit infiltrated because they see that the Buhuri graduates are now coming back and now starting to provide this particular service because they see the money in it. And as I said earlier on the Ford as well, we see. So for us, we have helped them to see there is a business within the different nodes of the value chain in the dairy.
Great, thank you very much. Question over there in the corner.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
I'm Satoko. I am from UN Women, Tanzania. So thank you for your fantastic presentation. It's a great to compare the two cases of great project. The one agri-result is it's not actually a project. You keep saying that's a pure business, right? It's, although I do believe there is a public funding coming into different spaces.
Correct.
But the DNA build is more about the development project, if I understood correctly. So if you could share with us your sort of lessons learned in terms of a specific value add or the where the market can address in terms of generating gender transformative dairy business, and it could be a value add or specific node of the value chain. And on the in the meantime, and then also, if you could share with me the spaces in value add that public funding is needed. Where are the services and value chain that is more conducive to being taking care of the market? But then where are the specific areas that needs to be funded by public funding? Thank you.
Wow. Yes, quite a question. Quite a question. I think you go ahead, Nima. I'm happy to chip in, but you start off with that. Firstly, where are the sectors that there's additional funding required to be able to buy down the risk? And then on the first one is which specific nodes in the value chain can you look at gender transformation? I think that was the question, if I got it. Why don't you start, and I know Lightness and Conso will add in Oh, you're pointing to lightness, I can see. Very nice.
Okay, thanks, Dai. I don't know where to start, but so looking at, yeah, as you say, the public fund is there, but not the incentive is where the public fund comes in, and it has been designed such a way that let the input business invest, and now like the incentive is like de-risking it. So whatever the investment they're going to put on this input service delivery and the marketing of that particular product, the incentive is a way of de-risking that particular investment. Now, so looking at the value chain itself, I'm looking at the dairy. For dairy to proceed and sustainably, we need to address two things. And that one I said when I introduced the project, the breed and the nutrition. The farm management practice, as we can improve as much as we can, but if the breed is not addressed and if the feed is not addressed, that's the area where we need to focus. So the investment required in that area probably is how can we get very good breed, climate resilient, and the one which can help on not emitting the gas, so we can even address the issue of gas emission, but also they can be able to sustain the current environment which we have. So we cannot come with a breed that it's high intensive, high managed, but within the geography of the area cannot perform very well. So the breed that is resilient, and that one can be able to adopt the environment which you have. But the other thing is the issue on the area is the feed, the climate smart forages, the ones which they can work with a minimum of 300 millimeters, the maximum of 800 millimeters. And those varieties are there. Push for that. That's the investment we need. But also the mechanization. Because when you talk about the feed, we are talking about the scale, kind of a scale, a scale kind of investment. And then we are talking about we need to have the machines, we need to have the cutter, the mower, the wrapping, those kind of equipment which are required for both silage and hay. That mechanization, that's really important. So in terms of the market, when you address the input like the feed, then it is there, the milk is there, it will balance out. Because whenever there is a need, the private sector really look at that opportunity and invest in, but it needs a little bit on the enabling environment support from the public sector, just in a nutshell.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dai. Thank you for the question. Basing on DNA project, I think she asked where
would there be, is there going to be gender transformation, the nodes for gender transformation, and then also where would further public sector investment be required to unlock dairy's potential?
Okay. On issue of where public sector can be involved is much more on the issue of regulating regulating some making sure that there is authority which is regulating some process of milk collection, how milk is sending to the processor so that they can avoid this informal market which is existing during the milk collection and milk transportation. But also where gender transformative can be in dairy value chain, I think this can be in all nodes from the production up to the consumer, because all the women, youth, and men are supposed to be involved in all dairy value chain and be benefited from that. I think That is how it can be. Maybe Conso can add on.
Conso can add to that.
Well, thank you for the question. I'll add a point on the attracting more public funding. Well, I'll focus my points on the lessons that we learned during the process of issuing the challenge fund to these farmer-led enterprises. While we had several applicants for this challenge fund, during the screening process, we realized most of them, they are looking for a bigger range of fund, but they are not able to contribute their share for the challenge fund. But why that is because of the scale of their business, that you find they are mostly small-scale processors where they are lacking investment in the processing equipment, and you find they are collecting large volume of milks, but despite them participating in the formal business, but they are also doing informal business by selling unprocessed milk. Not only that they want to sell unprocessed milk, but because they are lacking capacity or facilities for them to be able to process that milk. So investing in improving capacity for these small-scale processors, which are the one we are mostly working with, that will enable or will improve that node and formalize more business and get more milk into the formal market, improving on the 3% that we are currently working on. Yeah, thank you, that's my addition.
Great, well, thank you all very much for that. I would add one point to these great debate that's going on. And I think the other point I would say when looking to attract public sector funding into dairy and into livestock is, I think, for us all to remember, often it's an echo chamber. We're all livestock people talking to livestock people saying how wonderful livestock is. And we have to remember at times that that sometimes our battle is not with livestock people, it's with other people outside of the sector to determine how important livestock is, particularly for animal source foods, and particularly when we have this terrible stunting that we have in many African countries, Tanzania also being a country which has stunting between 30 to 40% of our children are malnourished. And that's a really important statistic that we all should have to be able to remind everyone that our ministries are not just the Ministry of Maize and Fertilizer, but also the Ministry of Livestock is a very important one. Sorry, that's something I have to tell everybody whenever I see anyone. But yes, any more questions? There we go, fantastic. Can we go one question here, please? And then one here, one over there, and then our last question will be over here for the finale of our question. Yes, please.
Thank you, and great presentation, everyone. My name is Maureen Munjwa. I am the country representative of Tanzania. My question is more to the mechanism of ag results. Is there great results, by the way, in terms of gender numbers, in terms of women reached, women engaged? But I'm wondering on the side where you are actually then giving the incentive, I think you called it incentive, or it's a result that you're paying for. Are there any gender targets attached to those numbers? That's my question. Or is it just generally that they're able to meet other productivity targets, but are there any specific targets tied to those investments that you actually pay out after you see results? Thank you.
I wish it was like that.
I wish it was.
Yeah, I wish it was like that. But the way, you are given the approach, and you are told, okay, this is the approach, this is the project, so what we need is numbers, and this you have to reach. And when you go to the field, as you realize, okay, actually it's not as simple as we think. And realize that yeah, we need to do more. So one of the things which we put for the input businesses when they do apply is give us your gender plan. So one of the prerequisites is that give us, tell us how are you going to work with women. And that one is the criteria we use to select these input businesses. So their gender plans, the way they help us, to reach more women, the approach they use to reach more, that's the criteria we use. As I said earlier, Axat is not a gender specific, but we navigate through it, ensure that women do also participate on this and get the services. I'm sorry, you don't have the metrics.
Great. Thank you very much for that answer. We have a question here, and then there's another one in this section, then there's one there, and the final question will be over that side.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Halima Shakur. I'm from Tanga, Amy Dairy. I was kind of asking, okay, I know about Land Olex, but I don't know about the DRC challenge funds. So anyway, it's a very, very nice challenge. And I was kind of asking, where are you guys located at in Tanga? And another question is, through the situation currently in, I think, Tanzania, the farmers, those that are doing the dairy cattle keeping, mostly are facing either the lack of great medicines or vaccines, for the animals. So I was kind of wondering of how do you normally help or the challenges faced by the farmers you are funding, and how do you come about if they have they get the fake vaccines, they get the fake medicines that they come about? How do you guys help them out in that situation?
So the question's two-part. The first part of the question I'll answer for you by referring you to Joachim Balakana, who's over here. And please have a discussion with him afterwards, and he can answer that question. The second very tricky question and controversial, I'm going to give to the superstar, Nima, here, to try to answer the question in a very short period of time. We're between here and lunch, and we have 2 more questions. So we need to make sure.
Okay, I think I'll be brief. So as I said on my presentation earlier, we do have a quality oversight on the vaccine, on all the inputs which are being provided to smallholder farmers. One of it is before they being recruited, you have to give us the list of the vaccination and all the inputs which you are going to use to sell to the smallholder farmers. And that one, we vet it with the Ministry of Livestock. We have a team of veterinary services and the TMDA in Mabibo, where they look into it and tell us this is registered, this is not registered. We have that. So we have a quality oversight with the government on that. And we also use the farmer feedback. So in case the farmer report anything, for example, in terms of the vaccine, our office is closer to Tanzania Livestock Veterinary Agents. We always have a discussion and give them feedback for improvement.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Is there another question just here? And then we have time for one more after this.
My name is Anna Minja. I'm a lecturer in food science. So I also work in different projects, specifically in horticulture. And I want to understand, I know that you explained something, Dada Nema, the incentive model. I know that you explained it, but I think I'm missing out something. We have the incentive model we are working with in horticulture, in one of our horticulture projects, and we provide the farmers with 40% of the total cost of production, and they contribute the 60% for them to have an ownership of what they are doing and for sustainability of the project. So how is your incentive model working? I understand that it stimulates investment, and you said something like there is 40% and then something like 20% will come back. I think I'm missing out something.
Absolutely, no problem at all. So just to quickly to clarify, the AgResults project is focusing on input suppliers. So they're working with small and medium enterprises. So it's a different section to farmers alone. And then I'll hand over to Nima to give you the details. So it's at business level, at firm level.
Yeah, just to explain on the incentive have been designed on looking at the profit structure which the input business they are gaining after selling the input. And basically, we are not providing with them anything, zero. It's for them to provide that particular service and adding with the advisory service. And for us and the farmer to confirm, yes, I've received this particular service, and for them, they are getting that particular incentive. So there's no any contribution of whatsoever, but it's for them to go and do it fast, and for us to be sure that it has taken place, and the farmers confirmed, yes, I've received that. We can talk more after this. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So very quickly, sorry, there's one more question at the end. I can see the hand going and the look saying, what about me?
Yeah, thank you, moderator. Mine is not a question. Mine was a comment.
Could you introduce yourself?
Yes, George Msalia from Tanzania Dairy Board. I just want to thank the presenters. They are my friends, my colleagues. I know them. We have worked together. I just want to comment on the good work that they are doing on behalf of the Dairy Board and on behalf of the government. The work is good through different projects. Consolata mentioned the PAID, and we had the DNA build, the AgResults, and currently we have TI3P also ongoing. These are good projects which are supporting the government's efforts to improve the dairy sector in Tanzania. One comment that I want to make as we continue working with these projects, don't forget on the sustainability aspect. We have had many projects in this country, but most of them are lacking sustainability. Once the projects are over, everything is over. So I just want to remind the people taking on these projects, landholders, you are doing a very good job, but remember, sustainability is something that we need to consider. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for that. So I'm going to quickly wrap up because I'm between you and lunch, so I have a small speech. I'll be talking for at least 3/4 of an hour, so you can listen to me, but no, just joking, don't worry. So I would like to, firstly, to wrap up. I think here we've have some very nice examples of some work that has been done in the dairy space over a number of years. There's great knowledge. If you look at the team that is up here, they've been working in the dairy space combined for well over 100 years. If you look at the amount of time that they've been working in the dairy space, so please. These are people who have seen different approaches and seen what's worked, what hasn't worked. I think it's equally as interesting, and to our last comment here, equally as interesting to look to see what hasn't worked. And in particular, as we're looking at that gender and youth space, I think is really important as how do we get more inclusion and in looking at more social inclusion of being able to see and view dairy as an important area and an important growth area. As our population in Tanzania and across the continent grows, we're going to need to make sure that we can feed all of these people at this stage. And so we need to be doing something different and looking at different approaches. So very interesting here, these different approaches and different things. Please take an opportunity to meet and to talk about this informally afterwards. We'd very much like that. And we really appreciate you coming and listening and not falling asleep. I really appreciate that. Or not dashing off for lunch quickly, so much appreciated. Nice to see some old friends and also some young friends as well. I hope we'll be new friends. So much appreciated. Please give a big hand of applause to our panelists.